So Bob Saget has been found dead at 65 in a hotel. Now, if you don't know who this is, he was basically the dad in the original Full House. So, beloved comedian and Full House star Bob Saget has died at the age of 65, officials said Sunday. The actor was found dead in his hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando, according to the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Now, a cause of death has not been revealed, but officials said there were no sign of foul play. Earlier today, deputies were called to the Ritz-Carlton Orlando Grande Lakes for a call about an unresponsive man in a hotel room. The man was identified as Robert Saget and pronounced deceased on scene, the department wrote in a statement. So detectives found no signs of foul play or drug use in this case, officials said, adding hashtag Bob Saget to the tweet. Local police and fire departments responded to the hotel around 4 p.m. on Sunday after hotel security found the comic in his room. TMZ, who first reported his death, said in, 9, in the 911 audio obtained by the Post, officials can be heard responding to an obvious death for a male patient at the hotel who is not breathing. It's going to be at the Ritz Carlton. It's going to be for a male patient. Advising it is an obvious death. Security office saying guest is not breathing, no pulse. So the Full House star just performed a show as part of his tour in Jacksonville, Florida, where tweeting about how great his set had gone with a selfie at 3:45 Sunday morning. Love tonight's show at PV underscore concert hall in Jacksonville. Appreciative audience, he wrote. Thanks again to at World Time Wilkins for opening. I had no idea I did a 2 hour set tonight. I'm happily addicted again to this shit. Check, bobsaget.com for my dates in 2022. He had future tour dates scheduled in Florida as well as Oklahoma. So pretty much what you could kind of understand from this situation is that he probably just passed away due to his body just giving out due to older age. Right now, 65 really isn't that old, but it makes you like the older you get, the more susceptible you are to things just failing basically randomly. So he's kind of like at the age where, okay, now he's just a little bit more at risk for things potentially happening out of nowhere, which basically happened because if there's no drugs, no alcohol, no foul play, probably no COVID either, is like most likely it might have just been a freak heart attack. It might have been a freak stroke. It might have been an aneurysm, right? This is kind of a situation that kind of goes to show you why you prepare for the worst but always hope for the best, because this is something that you'd never really expect to happen. You just randomly pass away after doing something that you just enjoyed to do, like that you just love doing. This is why when people say like, hey, you need to go get life insurance if there's people that rely on you and your income, this is why you need life insurance, because if you were to just suddenly pass away, your family could be taken care of even if you're gone. Also, they could take care of bills without really having to worry too much. Now, I did a little bit of research, and Bob Saget's net worth is apparently around $50 million, which is pretty darn good, right? Like, that's amazing. Like, the majority of people would never even see that type of money. But the thing to really understand is that he was in a situation, if he didn't even have insurance, health insurance or life insurance, he could pay out of pocket for all of it just because of how much money he actually has. But the majority of people are not at the point where they could self insure like he could if he managed his money correctly. Because the thing you always got to worry about, like the whole net worth calculations for all these celebrities, is that you really don't know how much money they're actually spending. So even though it says that he might be worth 50 million, in reality he might only have like 4, right? Or he might have 100. You don't really know. It just gives you basically a ballpark. But the best thing to really understand about this is, one, this is sad. Two, anyone can pass away at any given time due to just super random things that you have no control over. And because of that possibility that anyone could pass away at any given time, you need to really think about getting life insurance if you haven't, and you should always have good health insurance to help prevent things from getting to the point where they just blow up, right? Because it could be a situation where he might have had a heart issue that he could have maybe mended, and then eventually it just pops because he just didn't take care of it. So that's another way to think about it. Again, we don't know why he passed away. It could be any normal thing. Heart gives out, maybe the whole brain aneurysm. Like, it's just really random things can happen to you where you just end up dying for really no reason. And that's the scary thing about just being alive in general, is that like literally at any point during the day you could just die and you never even know it, right? You're like, oh yeah, tomorrow at like 7 o'clock I'm gonna die, but I would never know that, right? So that's something to really think about, because it kind of like these types of stories are kind of like so out of like left field, because there might be a lot of people who might have been like, oh wait a minute, isn't that the Full House guy, right? Isn't that like the America's Got Talent guy, right? Or like America's Home Videos, I believe, whatever it was called. It's like, oh yeah, I remember seeing him before. And then you look at him now, he's like, oh man, he's gotten way older. Well, that's because he's now 65. And the main thing, like I said, is that you should always end up preparing for the end without really ever hoping for the end, or without really ever expecting it to just happen at any given point, right? Like, you want to live your life, you want to enjoy your life, but you always want to put things in place so that if it's your time to go, it's not that big of a deal to everyone that's like involved, that's tied to you, right? Because from what it looked like, it seems like he's managed his life to a certain extent to where he was pretty much just having fun now, right? And that's a pretty cool spot to be in. Like, for him to pass away while he's just striving to do stuff that he enjoys is a pretty awesome thing, compared to like maybe someone whose life is horrible, someone whose life is absolutely crappy, and to just kick them while they're down, they end up dying, right? Whereas him, he's like, oh yeah, I'm like feeling super awesome, I'm enjoying everything, and then it happens. I think that's a better way to go out, to like be in the mindset of being super happy and super excited for the next day and then passing away, than you basically being super depressed, basically groveling to the ground and then getting kicked in the head and then getting killed or died or whatever kind of stuff. That'd kind of like a really be a crappy experience. So I hope Bob Saget's family is doing pretty well. If anyone knows more about this situation, or has like a similar story about his where they know someone who just passed away without really any sign of why, feel free to give your story. But again, the main thing is just manage like your final affairs, like your will, life insurance. Make sure you have good health insurance to help prevent random crap like this from happening. Because again, we don't know, but it could be a heart attack, could be an aneurysm. Having good health insurance could help prevent you from being like a ticking time bomb, basically. But either way, the only thing that you can't really solve for the most part, is just getting older. And this could be one of those situations where his body simply just started to give up, which would be sad. I mean, 65 really isn't that old, but I think after like the age of like 25, 35, your body starts to decay, right? Especially if you're not using like testosterone or anything like that. So, if you want to learn how to get a debt, feel free to go to 40bucks.com. But yeah, it sucks though, because I mean, he was a really good actor. I used to love that show.